Well, they're the photos that keep coming back to haunt the US president and the royal family. More than just the red carpet was rolled out for Donald Trump and wife Melania as they arrived in the UK for an unprecedented second state visit. Huge images of President Trump and Prince Andrew living it up with disgraced sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were beamed onto castle walls. The embarrassing handiwork of 4 protesters who've now been arrested. A short time ago, I spoke to Russell Myers, royal editor for the Daily Mirror. Russell, the president, a prince and a convicted paedophile splashed across Windsor Castle walls. This is a PR disaster, isn't it?
Well, it's not great. Certainly that Donald Trump would have been thinking he was going to get a warmer welcome, perhaps, from Windsor. But he has touched down. He has spoken of his joy of being here. Got the King's title a little mixed up, calling him Prince Charles, but I'm sure he'll be watching his P's and Q's when they do meet.
So let's just talk about what happened, though, first, because it was brazen and it was savage. How were they able to do it? Because you'd think the castle is a fortress, especially in light of what's unfolded in the US these past few weeks.
Well, very much so. I mean, just looking at the security detail for Trump and being around Windsor Castle today, there's huge new fences that have been erected, $10 million worth of security here to protect Trump. But we think the protesters hired a hotel room just across the road from Windsor Castle. They were able to get that projector up, and it was up for 20 minutes or so because the police couldn't find them. So pretty embarrassing, I think, for the royal family to be able to deal with this when they're trying to think of the actual order of the day, which is to try and welcome Trump here and to really play to his ego, which we all know he loves.
OK, so Mr Trump is only the second US president to be invited for a second state visit. I mean, this is a really big deal. Does this go to the closeness of the relationship between your countries, or is it pandering to a bully?
Depends what side of the fence you're on, doesn't it? We've seen the protests with the images put on Windsor Castle. You know, they have made their mark. But the royal family have a role to play. As I said, they are doing this duty at the behest of the British government. And Britain needs a trade deal. You know, the Labour government here at the moment are having a very, very tough time of it. They've had scandal after scandal over the last few weeks. And Sir Keir Starmer will be hoping that rolling out the red carpet, giving him the pomp and pageantry which he absolutely loves and has a huge affiliation and affection for the royal family, will try and cement a better trade deal for the United Kingdom.
But well, our Prime Minister is still trying to lock in a meeting with the US President. Perhaps your Prime Minister can put in a good word for him.
Well, I think he's probably got more pressing issues on his plate. However, of course, we know that Mr Albanese is due to be in the US. No meeting with Trump scheduled at the moment. I did see that Trump took to task was one of your reporters. And again, this is typical Trump, isn't it? You know, to picking people apart, trying to deflect from the actual issues of the day, because he's very, very much centred on his own worldview, isn't he?
I mean, you made the point, right, that the royal family, their job will be to woo him. We know Donald Trump loves the royal family, but how do they feel about him?
When you look at the role of the royal family, it's very much an apolitical stance, isn't it? And that's very, very important, not only for state visits like this, but when they're welcoming heads of state, of course, we don't really get to know their personal views. Now, of course, they're bringing out the big guns. You've not only got the King and Queen, Prince and Princess of Wales are meeting the President and the First Lady. That will be their first introduction. No doubt they'll be sat together for the state banquet, listening to Trump's speech. We expect that to be very, very political. And that's what the royal family do well, because they've got a job to do. There's here to make sure that it all runs smoothly, and it's all done with an air of making sure that he is happy, and that I think that's quite controversial in its own sense.
So what you're saying is we'll never know how they truly feel, because I think, you know, plenty of Brits have made it clear that they despise him. Are you expecting more trouble?
Well, certainly not inside the castle, because if you look at the security that is here, it is absolutely jam-packed. But there are protests happening, not only here but in London today. There is certainly a groundswell of support for those protests. You know, should we be inviting such a divisive president to the United Kingdom? You know, that is something that the royal family really don't get a say in. They've got to sort of, that stiff upper lip has to come out. They've got to welcome whoever is put in front of them. You know, the late Queen did that for 70 years and did it absolutely expertly well.
Hey, do you expect Prince Andrew to pop up somewhere, or is he locked in a dungeon at the moment?
Well, we saw him yesterday. It was the Duchess of Kent's funeral, and there was quite a lot of commentary about him coming out of the church, laughing and joking. Certainly, the Prince and Princess of Wales didn't look happy. The fact that he was sort of making light in such a morose environment. I don't expect him to be seen absolutely anywhere. Of course, he's not a working royal anymore. Well,
look, hey, I know you're about to disappear inside Windsor Castle. It is a very big day. Hopefully no more surprises. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Russell.
Thanks, Ali. Pleasure.